Hello there, it's Carol from the Crafty Emporium. Welcome to the very first of the 5 thing challenge. This is the first tutorial that I'm going to cover, and I'm going to call these pocket packets. Okay, now there are a lot of videos out there about making sort of different types of pockets. Patricia Viramontes is really well known for doing book page pockets. Now, why I'm calling these pocket packets is because most pockets, when you tend to make them, you tend to glue the back and stick them into the journal. These I'm calling a packet because I want them to be sort of freestanding, so therefore tucking it underneath your belly bands or into a little corner tuck spot on your journal page so that you can lift the whole thing out. Okay, so that's why I'm calling these a pocket packet. Now, as I say, there's lots of different variations and videos out there on how you can produce pockets, and if you want to follow any of those, then please go ahead and go and do that. This is just my version of how I'm going to make these. Now, as I said in the original video with my terrible singing, it was really bad, wasn't it? Yeah, well, I do apologise. The mood just overtook me. What can I say? In amongst all that terrible singing, I did say that I'm going to be doing a fair few of these based around Jane Austen, because I have a lot of Jane Austen digital kits, because I seem to be requested to do Jane Austen journals on commissions quite a lot. And I thought it would be quite a nice idea to have a few moustache. I do have a couple of commissions coming up as well. So I'm not going to go through each one of these individually, but just to show you that there are different sizes. Okay, and I've also got different types as well. So those two were my Jane Austen ones. And I'm going to be demonstrating a Jane Austen one today. I've also been using up all my digikits. So this is the Artie Mays ones. This was some stamping that I did, and I've used a variety of different things on the packets as well. Okay, now then, I have been a little bit ambiguous with my 5 things, because I have so much stuff, and because there's so many different sort of types of things that I want to show you. So I'm just going to show you quickly my 5 things. So my 5 things is this box of scraps. Yes, quite a lot, isn't there? Yeah, okay, so I'm going to be, those are all my scraps of printed papers, or paper packs. I've also then, this is the second one of my 5, and these are the digikits that I've gone through and I've cut elements out and tags out and note cards out. So that's the second of my number 5. The third of my number 5 is I have some vintage Jane Austen books, and so I've got some Jane Austen pages here in my wallet already prepared. The 4th thing that I'm going to use is vintage music paper. So that's 4 of my things, and then my 5th one is huge. It's massive, and this is where I've been really ambiguous. This is my bag of bits of lace. So there's my bits of leftover lace and my cheesecloth and seam binding and fringing, other bits of lace. I think there's some lace appliques in here as well somewhere. And one of the, yeah, see, look, lace appliques. So, yeah, I'm being a little bit ambiguous with mine, with my box of 5. If you want to narrow it down and just choose, say, 5 bits of paper from out of here, 5 elements from out of there, 5 pages of your music paper, 5 pages of your vintage books, 5 bits of lace. It is entirely up to you. Ooh, they're trying to escape now. Stu. The 5 is like I said before, like Nick says, I'm not your mum. So it's up to you how you do the 5. Oh, I want that one out a minute. So with the pocket packet, you want the front and the back to be nice, because if you're pulling the whole thing out of a tuck spot or from underneath the belly band and someone turns it over, you want the back to be nice as well. So you need to think about that when you're choosing your paper. If you decide that you just want to stick your pocket onto the page so the back is not going to be seen, then you could just use some coffee dyed card or just some plain card, just some plain coloured card, and then it saves then using up all of your, like I haven't got enough. So when I had a bit of a sort through here, I did have some rectangular pieces already cut out, and I've put them nearer the top to save me searching through. Okay, let me put that box out of the way. So in fact, 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 5, 6. Different sizes of rectangles, different types of paper, different patterns. But because I know that I wanted to go down the Jane Austen theme, I knew that I had to be careful about what colours I picked. So that's something else to consider as well. Now it can be, like I've done here, 2 separate pieces of paper, one front, one back, so that they will be joined together. It could just be a piece of paper that is folded in half, one front, one back. What you will need to remember though is when you fold it in half is that the back is going to be upside down. So that might be something that you want to consider, but there's no reason why you can't cover that with an extra little sleeve or pocket on the back. This one was a long strip that I've just folded in half to make myself my pocket packet. This was an actual page that I printed out from Calico Collage's digital kit, and I've just cut the page out and folded it in half, so that could be another one. That's another bit of that brown that was a long rectangle that I've just folded it in half, and this was just a piece of card that I can either cut in half or fold in half, and I could either have it that way or that way depending on the size that you wanted to create. Right, so when you're looking through your scrap box or bag of papers, those are the things that you need to sort of think about. Look at what can make a decent sized pocket. You don't want it too big, you don't want it too small. Think about the colours that you want to go in your journal, blah blah blah. All right, all those things to think about. Now I'm going to be using for my pocket today, for demonstration purposes, I'm going to be using my Pride and Prejudice pages from my book. Okay, now what I've done, because the paper itself, if I get one out, stuck that one together, if I get one out to show you, it's actually quite flimsy, and so you want to strengthen that up, and there's 2 ways to do that. One is to stick a couple of pages together, which is what I've done here, which now it's still pliable, but it's got a little bit more strength about it. The only thing with doing that is that I've used up 2 of my book pages, and this, because it's going to be on the inside, you won't get to see it. And I thought, oh, that's a bit of a waste, isn't it? We don't want to be doing that. So what I did was I then stuck the pages using collal glue to the back of some coffee dyed paper that I didn't like. You could stick it to the back of coffee dyed card, because then at least when the packet is opened up to be used, you've still got the visual effect of it something being vintage. Alright, so this is what I started off with. Let me just put this to one side. Stay there. So this is what I started off with, 2 of my book pages stuck to a piece of coffee dyed paper that I didn't like, and it's now got a little bit of strength and body about it. I then trimmed away any of the excess because I decided roughly what size pocket I wanted to use. So I trimmed it away and then I put the 2 together like so. And here's the one I made earlier. So what I actually did was I cut this down to the size that I wanted, and you can either glue the front and the back together around 3 sides, or you can stitch it like I've done here, and you can either leave the strings or you can cut those off to make it neater. Now, as you might be able to see as well, I've also embossed part of an embossing folder onto the page as well to give it a little bit more dimension, and these are the embossing folders that I got. So you don't want to see the tatty side, do you? You want to see the nice side. So these are bookmark sizes, which are ideal for just slotting that in there, running it through my embossing machine, and I just have that little bit of extra decoration there. Now then, let me just show you. Yeah, so I did it on this one, look. So I did some embossing down the edge of this one here. Alright, so the first thing that I'm going to do, now that I've made my pocket up, as you can see, look, I've got coffee dyed paper on the inside, and this is actually now quite sturdy. But the first thing I'm going to do is ink it up, and I've got my little bit of plastic, which I've talked about before, and I'm going to use, and you can't see this because of the ink on the top, but this is walnut stain, and I'm also going to use a little bit of black soot as well. So ink up my dabba doobie, so run it over there because I don't want the excess all on my page, and I'm going to do a circular motion, running it right around the edge of my pocket packet. Now, normally if I was inking something up, I wouldn't use this technique of running it around the page, but because I'm going to be covering this central area up, I can afford to do it this way, because sometimes you end up with that circle from your dabber. So normally I would run it off like that to just ink the very edge of the page up, but I actually want the ink to be going more onto the page itself, and I'm also trying to keep it in line here where the edge of my page is, so that I'm not then getting ink on the back of my pocket. And the other thing that I do as well is in the corners, I just go across diagonally across the corner to make that a little bit more pronounced. Okay. Now, if you wanted a thumb hole, I would suggest that you punch out your thumb hole with a circle punch first before you ink up, because you obviously then want to ink around that thumb hole that you've done as well. I would then turn it over and do the back as well, but to save on time, I'll do that later. Now, this embossing part, I don't know whether you can see, but part of it is showing up more now because I've inked the edge up. Now I'm just going to very lightly run over the top of that embossing to just help to accentuate that pattern a little bit more. And the other thing that I'm then going to do is I'm not going to ink up my black soot one, but I am just going to use the ink that's already on my dabber, and I'm just going to very lightly again run it over the top. Now I'm not doing it all the way over, and it just gives a really nice effect blending the two together. Okay, easy peasy lemon squeezy so far. That's the other thing, is I don't like doing anything that's too difficult, too time consuming. So I've already had a little bit of a play with some of the bits that I want to use, and I actually thought that those two ladies would be quite nice, and also some extra text to accentuate there. I'm going to keep this one really simple, but I actually think that probably I know, I might add a bit of doily lace round about here. So lay all the bits on top. Now if I hadn't done my embossing bit there, I could have done that, and then that, and then that. So basically have a play at layering stuff up to just see sort of what you think visually that's going to look like. Okay, I might even because I'm not using that, because this is text and because this is text, what I might do, yeah, I might use some music paper, so then that will separate this text from that text. There again, this is about Emma, this is Pride and Prejudice. No, we're going to do it. Okay. So now it's about inking everything up. So as you can see, I've just ripped out some of the leftover bits of paper, and then I'm going to ink them up, and again I'm just going to use that. Can you see how much smaller the circles that I'm doing on this bit around the outer edge? And I'm going over it a couple of times, because where it's ripped it will pick up more of the ink and come out that little bit darker where it's ripped. Can you see that? Come out just slightly darker. Sorry, the sun's just decided to come out as well. Okay, so using my collal glue, I'm just going to stick this. Now this stuff comes out really quick. No, I haven't found anyone yet who really likes the bottles, and I found that if you squeeze it just a tiny bit and then stop squeezing, lift it up quick and then push that down and twist, it stops it from oozing out, and I found it oozes out more as it gets nearer the bottom of the bottle. Which bit shall I use? That bit. Yeah, there's more music notes there, isn't there? Okay, so I'll stick you on there, and then I'm going to very roughly rip you out around the shape of what's underneath. And I mean roughly. Now can you see I'm pinching here and I'm only tearing a little bit at a time, so that I can be a little bit more precise about what I'm ripping out. See that bit there? Don't like it. Ripping that bit off. Okay. Yep, that's fine. So we'll now ink that edge up as well. Now I'm going to do this very quickly because I'm running out of time, and I don't want to take too much time up of your day. Okay. Yeah, that just helps to separate that from that look. Okay, ladies need inking up. Let's do a quick little buzz round, just to take off that white edge. And now I'm going to stick my layers on. So I want my ladies on first. Now you can do as many layers as you wish. For time, I know what I might add. Ooh, just had a thought. I had a bit of the old cheesecloth underneath that writing as well. Yeah, I had a bit of cheesecloth on there too. So I'll dab some glue on the back there. Bung that on. Right, I'm going to place them on there. I'm not going to push them down. I'm just going to place them on because I want to stick this slightly underneath. Put some glue on there. Pull that round. Lost me a bit of cheesecloth under there. There we go. Okay. And then I'll add, this is a bag of some lacy trim that my friend Jane gave me. That one, maybe. Little scissors. Ooh. Tweezers decided to come as well. And then I reckon stick that on there with a button on top. Just going to use my tacky glue with this one. So I want something a little bit stronger than collal. And then I'm going to put a button in the center of there as well, and then on the back I will put a little pocket here so that we can tuck a little something in here. So that's the basis of the pocket, however you want to call it. Have a little play, see what you come up with, and in next week's video I'll show you how I finished all of this off, and we'll go on to the next item. Okay, have fun. Bye.